You're looking to buy an Apple Watch, but you're not sure which one. Well, you've come to the right place because I'm going to go over the key differences between the Apple Watch Series 10 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 because believe it or not, while you may think spending more money on an Apple Watch defaultly equals bigger and better, this year that's not necessarily the case, and there's a lot you need to know before you make your purchasing decision. And as someone who has been wearing an Apple Watch Ultra 2 for the past year, and based on what Apple has told us about this new Apple Watch Series 10, I think I can make a very good buyer's guide for these watches and which Apple Watch model is ultimately right for you. I mean, that's the whole point. First of all, let's talk about the design of the Series 10 versus the Apple Watch Ultra 2, because this absolutely shocked me. Now, if you go and look at these watches, you may firstly assume that the Apple Watch Ultra 2 has a larger display based on its 49mm casing size. However, that is not true at all. The Series 10 Apple Watch has the largest Apple Watch display ever. And despite being listed as a 46mm case size, the viewable display area is larger. Looking at the tech specs, you can see that it has a 12,020 square millimeter display area, or 416 by 496 pixels, while the Ultra 2 has 1,185 square millimeters, or 410 by 502 pixels. Conversely, if you aren't a fan of big watch designs, Apple also has a second option on the Series 10 for a 42mm version. The Ultra 2, it only comes in one size. The Apple Watch Series 10 is also much lighter and slimmer than the Ultra 2. It's the thinnest Apple Watch ever at 9.7mm, while the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is 14mm thick. That's nearly a 40% difference in thickness. And if you're opting for the aluminum version of the Apple Watch, it's about half the weight of the Ultra 2. In terms of practicality, the design of the Series 10 means it will bump up less on your wrist, and it also means that it's especially useful for people who wear a lot of long sleeve shirts, especially those with cuffs like a dress shirt. The one thing I have had a hard time with my Ultra is making sure that it doesn't snag on my dress shirt cuffs. I know it's hard to believe. I'm usually in a t-shirt in this video, but sometimes I do dress up, and sometimes I think I look pretty nice. I gotta say, I clean up pretty well if you ever see me out there looking sharp. Now, in terms of finishes, the Series 10 comes in either aluminum or titanium. The Apple Watch Ultra only comes in titanium, but it now gets a new satin black finish, which admittedly does look really cool, and I kind of want it. However, I can say the same about the new jet black finish on the Apple Watch Series 10. I think that looks slick, but if you know anything about jet black as a color, it used to be on the iPhone 7, and that thing only lasted one model because it scratched so easily. So just be wary that if you're going for that jet black color on the Series 10, there's a pretty good chance you're gonna get a lot of scratches on the body of that watch, especially as you're bumping into everything with your wrist. Just be made aware of that. It's not that big of a deal, but you should know it. Now, despite the Series 10 having a larger display and the slimmer design, there are some design elements on the Ultra 2 that may have you picking it over a Series 10. First of all, the Ultra has an action button that you can designate quick actions to, like mapping it to a stopwatch, where the Series 10 does not have this feature. Second of all, the Ultra 2 is ultra durable. It has a raised lip around the display that helps protect it against shattering on impact. And the chunky design just naturally lends itself better to durability, which means better durability if you happen to drop your watch on the floor. And if you're a scuba diver, hey, Scuba Steve. Well, the Ultra 2 has much better water resistance at 100 meters max and a depth gauge that goes to 40 millimeters, while the Series 10 has a water resistance rating of 50 meters and a depth gauge that only goes to 6 meters. However, both watches are fine to wear in the shower or swim with at the pool. Also, every Apple Watch Ultra model has a sapphire display, which is really good for scratch resistance, while the aluminum Apple Watches get a glass display that usually after a year of use, you will probably notice some cosmetic hairline scratches on the display. But if you want a sapphire display on the Series 10, you just have to pick the titanium model. But remember, that does raise the price almost exactly to the same price point as an Ultra 2. Listen though, in terms of overall design, I have to give it to the Series 10 this year. Not only has Apple made this watch thinner and lighter than ever, It also introduced some really nice finishes on both the aluminum and the new titanium versions, but the fact that the 46mm version has a bigger display than the Ultra 2 makes it feel like a clear winner, especially when you consider the Ultra 2 didn't even get an update this year. It's technically not a new watch, just a new color. However, even though the Ultra 2 did not receive an update this year, there are still a lot of advanced features on this watch that the Series 10 just does not have. The most notable to me is the brighter display on the Ultra at 3000 nits versus the Series 10 at 2000 nits. Although Apple does say that the Series 10 is 40% brighter when viewed at an angle. I really don't know how to parse that, but I think ultimately the Ultra 2 is brighter. The Ultra 2 also has a more accurate dual frequency GPS, which is more accurate for outdoor activities like running or hiking, and it gets updated more frequently. Now, despite the Series 10 being newer and yes, coming with a new S10 chip, there doesn't actually seem to be a performance upgrade this year, and even new features like the Apple Watch getting the ability to play music through its inbuilt speakers is also coming in a software update to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Furthermore, the Ultra 2 is also gaining another health update along with the Series 10. Both watches will be able to now detect sleep apnea. According to Apple, sleep apnea is a condition where breathing stops repeatedly and causes disrupted sleep, and if untreated, it can lead to hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and even cardiac issues. They even say that up to 80% of sleep apnea cases are undiagnosed. So I think this is a huge health upgrade for whatever watch you end up getting. And I think a lot of people are going to realize that they might have this condition. I think I might have this condition, and I'm kind of scared to get a Series 10 and actually find out, because a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I'm still really sleepy. I'm a sleepy baby. Personal health issues aside, the biggest feature by far that goes in favor for the Apple Watch Ultra, despite being an older model, is still battery life. The Ultra basically has double the battery life of the Series 10. It has 36 hours of battery life, while the Series 10 has 18 hours of battery life. And trust me, as someone that has used a regular Apple Watch and an Ultra, this is by far my favorite feature on the Ultra. You're usually able to wear the watch reliably for 2 to 3 days and track multiple hour-long workouts during that time. And if you're someone that exercises a lot, tracking a workout on your Apple Watch, it's a big battery drainer. Or if you just want to wear your watch for a few days between charges, this was something I really appreciated on the Ultra. Still, on the Series 10, you can now fast charge the watch to up to 80% in just 30 minutes, where the same charge would take up to an hour on the Ultra, but that makes sense, right? It's double the battery. So technically you'd get as much battery life on a 30-minute charge as the Ultra, just not filling it up all the way. There's also one extremely important thing you need to be made aware of if you are a current Apple Watch owner and you are considering upgrading this year. If you own a Series 6 or newer, these new Apple Watches do not have a blood oxygen sensor enabled. They are missing this feature due to a lawsuit between Apple and Masimo, and I believe that the hardware for this blood oxygen sensor is still on these Apple Watches, but the app for the blood oxygen readings will not be on this device until this lawsuit gets settled somehow. So if you have an older Apple Watch and you're upgrading, you may potentially miss out on a flagship health feature that will not be available on these new Apple Watches. All right, let's cover pricing. Listen, I mean, you look at the Series 10, you look at that aluminum Apple Watch, and the price, it's a huge advantage here. For a non-cellular model, the price is $400 for the 42mm and $429 for the 46mm, which is half the price of an Ultra 2, with a larger display. That is crazy. Now, if you want to get the cellular version, the Ultra comes with that by default, but it's only $100 more on the Series 10, so it's still much cheaper than an Apple Watch Ultra. Now, if you want the same titanium material on the Series 10, well then you're going to get much closer to the price of an Apple Watch Ultra 2. The titanium Series 10 starts at $699 and goes all the way up to $749, which is really close in price to the $800 Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, deciding between these watches, I think, is pretty easy this year. And I have to say, there are a lot of advantages right now for the Series 10. It's thinner, lighter weight, a more comfortable design, and it has a larger display. It has the more advanced design, and with the Ultra 2 being exactly the same as last year, and the only notable update to this watch is just a new black color option, I really think the Series 10 is the clear winner here. And personally, I'm planning on ditching my Ultra this year as I smack myself in the face. And I think I'm picking up a Series 10. That's right, look at that white pasty skin under that Apple Watch. That's right, that was hiding there all along, that nice little tan line. It's a little gross, I know. However, even after saying that, the one thing I do come back to with the Ultra, and the one reason I would still recommend it, even over the Series 10, is if you do really care about battery life. I am telling you, the #1 reason to get an Ultra, and I think it's really the only way you can justify getting an Ultra over a Series 10 this year, is if you want that battery life. It is really good. So yeah, if you don't want to charge your watch every night, get the Ultra. But if you don't mind charging your watch pretty much every night or every, 2 days at max, I would really recommend the Series 10. It seems like a much better value this year. But all right, I really hope this video helped you out in deciding between an Apple Watch Series 10 or the Apple Watch Ultra 2. If it did, please let me know in the comments below. As always, I really hope this video helped you out in making a decision. If it did, please leave me a like. Again, don't forget, the Apple Watches are available to pre-order right now, so this buyer's guide, I really hope helped you because you gotta make a decision pretty soon before those pre-order dates start slipping. If you want to see my full review before you make that decision, though, of the Series 10, that will be up after September 20th. So make sure you're subscribed, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.